This week on the Brody File, President Obama is in trouble. The scandals are piling up and the media is beginning to turn on him.
Why isn't he angry, really angry, about what happened with the IRS?
A closer look at the impact of the scandals as White House Press Secretary Jay Carney becomes a man under siege.
Check our history, rapid commentary, but you have to understand and hear how it sounds like the administration might be hiding something.
Also, Obamacare under fire yet again. The IRS scandal could have a significant impact on how the country's new health care plan is implemented. We're going to talk with Congressman David Schweikert.
Heaven forbid that also now be caught into this political power loop that seems to be coming from this administration.
Plus, an exclusive one-on-one interview with CBS reporter Sharyl Attkisson, who calls out the media when it comes to their coverage of the Benghazi controversy.
The media did not use the opportunity in the weeks and months after Benghazi to be as persistent and as pointed as they should have, considering the importance of the issue, in my view.
Plus, an embarrassing spelling error that makes the Brody File go, oi gewalt. The Brody File is next. And welcome everybody to another edition of the show. You know, we are scandal-free here at the Brody File, but the same cannot be said of the Obama administration. They are in damage control mode. Well, whether it be the Benghazi controversy or the scandal involving the IRS and conservative groups, or the tapping of reporters' phone logs and emails by the Justice Department, conservatives are up in arms about all of it. And while some Republicans are comparing President Obama's actions to Richard Nixon and Watergate, some folks have actually taken to YouTube to make the visual comparison between Obama and Nixon.
People have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
Look, to put it mildly, this has been a horrendous month for the Obama administration, and it could get even worse. There are Republicans on the Hill starting to use the impeachment word because they say the president has misled the American people on Benghazi. Now, while that may be a bit of a stretch at this point, one guy who is feeling the incoming fire on all of this is White House spokesman Jay Carney. Carney has been besieged by reporters wanting answers. Meanwhile, Carney, well, he plays the role of a sitting duck. Here's a sampling.
Jay, you told us that the only changes that were made were stylistic. Is it a stylistic change to take out all references to previous terror threats in Benghazi?
Check our history, rapid commentary, but you have to understand and hear how it sounds like the administration might be hiding something.
Is there a siege mentality back there in the West Wing right now?
Absolutely not.
And with more now on all of the controversies swirling around this president, we're joined by Congressman David Schweikert from Arizona, up there on the Hill. Not from Arizona, he's literally there on the Hill. Congressman, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
No, happy to do it.
Hey, listen, there's been some talk. The I word has been mentioned up here with Obama, as in impeachment. Are you ready to go that far, or are people getting a little ahead of themselves with this impeachment talk?
They're getting way ahead of themselves. Look, we have an obligation to follow the Constitution and do our investigative duties and do it disciplined, do it fairly, do it appropriately so the American people truly understand what's going on there. And we need to reach out to our friends and make sure saying, look, don't get ahead of ourselves. Don't engage in rhetoric that gives the other side excuses not to participate, not to work with us in finding out the truth.
Now, the way you see it, with all of these controversies, is there one common theme that you find most troubling? What's the biggest concern that you have here that maybe link a lot of these controversies together?
You know, everyone's sort of working on their particular theory. My personal one is you're sort of seeing the nature of big government. And big government, when it's controlled by one philosophy, What happens when all through government they use the levers and that power to push their philosophy forward?
Interesting. And so, therefore, you're extremely concerned about what this administration has done, not just with the IRS, but Benghazi and some other situations here?
Oh, and you need to go back all the way to Fast and Furious and even other things. You got to understand, for the last 3 years around here, we've been doing oversight hearings. We've been finding bad acts. We have been finding that the mainstream press didn't care, wasn't willing to cover it. Until the last couple weeks, we're finally breaking through to the American people, saying you do understand all these things are going on in your government. One common theme, though, you bring it back together, it's about political power.
And I'm wondering, with all of these controversies that are swirling, not that you need to rank them necessarily, but which is the most troubling to you? You've got Benghazi, the IRS, you've got the AP phone records, and now this Fox News reporter. I mean, what's on the top of your mind right now in terms of these?
You see, I think that's really unfair. Benghazi is unique and special because, let's face it, 4 of our brothers out there died. And, that needs to rise to the top. But the others look like they've done violence to our Constitution. So we need to dig through the facts, understand what's going on here, and hopefully the American people will now reach out and engage in understanding this is what you get when you build massive, big, powerful, intrusive government.
Well, speaking about that massive intrusive government, along comes Obamacare, and now we have this IRS controversy brewing. Explain, you've been kind of on the forefront of this. Explain about how the IRS and the Obamacare situation really go hand in hand, and why this scandal with the IRS could be very concerning for a lot of folks as it relates to Obamacare.
Well, and you got to understand, we've already seen the politics of Obamacare being used to benefit some and hurt others. Think of the waivers the White House has been giving out over the last couple of years. It seemed to be unions, the friends of the administration would get the waivers. So there's already a history of them using sort of the Obamacare sledgehammer to help some and hurt others. And now we start to realize that the enforcement agency, the collection agency, the data collection agency of the IRS and the new healthcare law, heaven forbid that also now be caught into this political power loop that seems to be coming from this administration.
Is there going to be a serious effort in the House to somehow watch out or cut funding for the IRS as it relates to the IRS agents that need to enforce Obamacare? What's the latest on that?
Well, first off, we're doing oversight hearing after oversight hearing to collect data, to understand. Now, will the White House be forthcoming with the emails and the data we need? Are they going to play games with us? Are they going to blame lower level staff? Are they going to withhold information just like they did with Fast and Furious? So the process has begun. This is what the Constitution gives Congress an obligation, and that's oversight. Let's get the information, and then we need to have sort of even a bigger conversation. Should government be as big as it is? Should the IRS have the type of tax code to administer we have today? Or is this time to have a moment of reflection and say we need to change our ways? We need to also change the look of this government.
Well, Congressman, we appreciate it. Seems like it's hotter right now for the Obama administration than a day out there in Arizona, at least a summer day out there.
Yeah, but at least it's a dry heat.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. It's only 140, but it's a dry heat. That's right. All right. Congressman, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
With all this controversy and scandal swirling around the president, it is time for this week's Brody File commentary. The way the Brody File sees it, out of all of the controversies right now, the biggest threat to President Obama is actually the one involving the snooping by the Justice Department when it comes to reporters' phone conversations and emails. You see, this is the story that really gets the media angry. The IRS story? Yeah, nice story. Good political sizzle. Benghazi? Yeah, decent story too. But spying on reporters is the one that gets the mainstream media juiced. This is the one that could contain the most damage for the president because, look, the media doesn't like to be played with. That is like playing with fire. They're going to turn on you if you do that, and we have already begun to see the evidence of that. When they turn on the president, watch out. Then he's in a world of trouble because they'll go after him harder in just about every area. And when that happens, he and his administration will be exposed even more. And what will be the result? Well, more negative stories and a swift drop in his poll numbers among Americans. Now, at that point, he's going to start losing the country. And when that happens, his legislative agenda, kaput. His presidential legacy, though, also could end up as roadkill on the side of the highway. I mean, look, yes, he's going to go down as an historic president because of the barrier that he broke. But will he go down as an historic president who succeeded or an historic president who fell way short of expectations? All right, let's move on now to some other news. We have seen the state of Virginia, go from red to blue to purple. It's been all over the place the last couple of election cycles. Well, now some evidence to prove that it indeed seems to have gone blue. It comes in the form of gay marriage. A Washington Post poll shows that 56% of Virginians believe that gay couples should be allowed to marry. 33% say no, they should not. 10%, well, they just don't have no opinion. They're busy watching American Idol. By the way, 2 years ago, 46% of Virginians were okay with same-sex marriage, so that is now up 10% in just 2 years. All right, when we come back, beware of the drones. Big Brother is watching you. Jennifer Wishon, a.k.a. Jenny in the B Block, is here to explain when we roll on.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill and in this hand is a $20 US gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
And welcome back to the Brody File. Well, here's a question for you. Who is watching you right now? I mean, maybe you think you're alone and that nobody's watching you, but how do you know? Could there be a drone nearby? Is Big Brother watching you?
You go, girl!
Well, Jenny in the B Block is here to explain the growth of those stealth spying drones in our society. And if you think it's just the government doing it, you're mistaken. Jenny, this is big business.
It is, David. By 2017, the drone industry is expected to employ 70,000 people with an economic impact of nearly $14 billion. That's why flying robots, even small ones like this, may soon become common sights in the sky. I mean, this does feel like something out of a science fiction novel.
It is.
It is. Michael Toscano is president of the Association for Unmanned Vehicle Systems International, which represents more than 7,500 drone enthusiasts in the U.S. and more than 50 countries. Drones can be as small as a hummingbird and larger than a jetliner, outfitted with everything from cameras to infrared technology to weapons.
This technology is literally an extension of the eyes, the ears, and the hands of a human being.
Jobs for drones seem endless, from capturing 360-degree images of real estate to monitoring and spraying crops. Some police departments already use them, and advocates point to the Boston Marathon bombings and subsequent manhunt as an example of how drones can improve public safety. But use by law enforcement is controversial. The ACLU and other privacy advocates warn that drones will allow for pervasive surveillance in a way that could eventually eliminate the privacy Americans enjoy in their movements and activities. They also warn of discriminatory targeting against Americans who challenge the status quo, pointing to historic institutional abuses during the civil rights movement and other times of political conflict and social turmoil. The what-ifs of the technology are prompting state governments to take action. 39 states have introduced legislation dealing with drones. 6 legislatures have passed them.
Now, you don't use the word drone.
I do not.
Why is that?
Most people, when they hear the word drone, they think one military, they think one hostile, and they also think weaponized. Well, the FAA, and that is a misconception.
The FAA forbids deploying a weapon from any aircraft, manned or unmanned. But what if someone tries to take one over?
One of the major issues that has to be tested to make sure that someone can't either hack into it or to be able to unintended consequence of having multiple signals being passed that it causes a disruption.
Then there are disagreements over whether the Fourth Amendment protects Americans from unreasonable searches that could come from an unsuspecting eye in the sky.
I have a confidence that our judicial review process would work and will settle that gray area that's left in the middle, and will settle it with a correct balance of security and civil liberties.
The sky's the limit.
The sky's the limit of what you'll be able to see.
Time will judge the benefits and the risks of drones, but one thing is certain, the technology, it's not going back into its box. David?
Thank you, Jenny. Jennifer. All right, when we come back, CBS reporter Sharyl Attkisson with some tough words for the media when it comes to their coverage of the Benghazi controversy. We're back in a moment.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new GripGo, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and GripGo grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
And welcome back to the Brody File, everybody. All right, time for us to keep a watchful eye on the media. And that means it is time for our mainstream media watch segment. This week we are highlighting the reporting of Sharyl Attkisson of CBS News. She is the network's investigative reporter, and she's been on top of this Benghazi story from the get-go. In other words, she's been a thorn in the side of the Obama administration. Attkisson, doesn't usually do interviews with other networks, but we're the Brody File. So guess what? That's right, she sat down with us. Stalking mode, folks, stalking mode. Here's some of our one-on-one interview with the reporter who conservatives have taken a liking to. What has been your reaction to all of the attention that you've received from these conservative groups? It's kind of somewhat of maybe an awkward situation for you.
I don't mind it at all. I appreciate it. Maybe not everything that's being said about me is entirely true or my reporting, but I appreciate that there are people supporting the coverage that I give. Some years ago, it was the opposite. Some liberals were embracing me and the conservatives were attacking me. I still have clips from the time, the media critics on the conservative side. At that point, when I was doing stories, because we had a Republican administration, so the stories were perceived when I do watchdog type things as harmful or critical of the Republican administration, so it was presumed I was liberal. I'm actually, as I like to say, politically agnostic. If you conclude because I investigate a story and it happens to lead one way or the other, and I'm persistent, if you want to conclude that's where I stand politically, you're free to do that. I can just tell you it's not the case.
You were on the forefront of all of this early on. Do you believe that the media overall, writ large, has kind of missed the boat?
Well, there have been media covering it, so it's not as though I'm completely by myself. But I do think this, and I've observed this with many stories over the years in different administrations, the media is not always consistent in the vigor that they use to pursue a given topic. And I never quite understand, why the difference, because I think that if something is important when one administration is in office, then an equal thing should be treated equally when another administration is in office. And I don't see that's always the case. And I do think the media did not use the opportunity in the weeks and months after Benghazi to be as persistent and as pointed as they should have, considering the importance of the issue. In my view, after independently looking at the facts, I just think you can't walk away and conclude anything other than it's an extremely important story with many unanswered questions and contradictions. And I think some in the media were not as curious as I think naturally journalists ought to be.
Let me ask you a relatively sensitive question, but CBS and how they have seen you cover this story, has there been some pushback from CBS, and if so, kind of what form has that manifested in?
Not really. I mean, I would say two things about that. I've received a lot of encouragement from the top executives who I consider, Jeff Fager, who's our CEO, and David Rhodes, who's our president, have certainly never said anything to try to interfere with the coverage. They've complimented a lot of my work and strongly supported it. On the other hand, every story that you present as a reporter has to be bought by a broadcast, meaning not purchased for money, but you have to get them interested in it. So maybe Evening News wants one story, Morning News wants a story. And there hasn't been an appetite for the stories I've offered on Benghazi. So I've published a lot online because there's unlimited content space online, and I've done a lot of my reporting there. And until recently, there hasn't been, as you said, much of a market for on the air, and that's for a variety of reasons I can't speak to. I don't know what all the decision-making involves, except that on a given day, there's a finite amount of time to put stories on, and there are plenty of stories happening every day that obviously someone's judging to be more important or more urgent.
That is Sharyl Attkisson here on the Brody File. While we're on the subject of the media and President Obama, how about this poll that just came out from the Hill newspaper? 46% of Americans think the media is excessively sympathetic to the president. Only 17% think the media are fair. However, check this out, this is interesting. 28% of Americans actually think the press deliberately is trying to hurt the president. Interesting. Here's another interesting trend that caught our eye. We all know how Chris Matthews, MSNBC, you know him, the host there. Well, we know how he's liberal, and he's also a huge fan of the president. Well, guess what? Now he is starting to turn on President Obama after all of these scandals. So first, we want you to check out an example of the praise that Matthews gave the president a year ago.
Everything he's done is clean as a whistle. He's never not only broken any law, he's never done anything wrong. He's the perfect father, the perfect husband, the perfect American.
Now, I want you to have a look at Chris Matthews and how he views the president today.
He doesn't want to run the United States government, and that has been the problem. Why isn't he angry, really angry, about what happened with the IRS?
Mr. President, if you start to lose Chris Matthews, of all people, you're in trouble. Back in a moment with the Oy Vey Moment of the Week.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
And welcome back to the Brody File. Well, have you ever made a silly mistake? Well, of course you have. We all have. But this week's silly mistake has definitely turned into the Oy Vey Moment of the Week. Well, he's back again. Newly elected Congressman Mark Sanford has been in our Oy Vey spotlight a few times. He's like in the Oy Vey Hall of Fame. But this time, his staff is the recipient of our Oy Vey Award. Now, check this out. He wins his congressional election as the next House representative from South Carolina's 1st District. And this is the press release his staff puts out the day he was sworn into office. Quote, Representative Mark Sanford sworn into office. Wait, Mark Sanford? Sorry, we thought it was Mark Sanford. Boy, you know, this staff is off to a great start. Do they have spell check on the computer? I mean, it's not like they had to spell this goofy word.
Sardoodledum.
Now that's a mouthful. That does it for this week, everybody. Until next time, God bless. Have a great week.